I literally felt like life was over. I felt completely alone and hopeless. I had never been so scared in my life. I literally didn't think anybody was going to be able to help me. I've never spoken about this before, and I've never shared this with our YouTube audience, but I think it's time for me to share a little bit about my journey and my struggle with insomnia. I'm really sharing this struggle not just to tell my story, but also to give hope and perspective for those who are struggling with sleep as well. I'll start from the beginning. I, as many of my clients, was never a great sleeper. I remember as a kid tossing and turning, being very sensitive to light and sound, but at the end of the day, I always got to sleep, and it wasn't a big issue. It really took me to my 20s, where I remember there was one night that everything came crashing down. I was living in Israel at the time, newly married, and there was some stressful life event that happened. I don't even remember what it really was, but I was very uptight. I was very tense. And I went to bed and I felt that I was carrying all of that negative energy with me. And I tossed and turned, I couldn't get to sleep. It really wasn't the tension from life that blew up in my face. It was the anxious thought that accompanied it, which says, oh my gosh, what happens if you don't sleep tonight? And those thoughts soon catastrophized into what happens if you don't sleep tomorrow night? What happens if you never fall asleep again? I mean, how exactly do you fall asleep? How does this work? How can you force yourself to fall asleep? All of these thoughts and feelings of doom, dread, and panic filled my body and mind. I was up that night and had no idea how to get out of this cycle of fear, anxiety, and insomnia that I had now fallen into. I went to sleeping pills as a short-term answer, hoping that maybe just by resetting my body clock, I would be able to get things back on track, but to no avail. The pills actually made the situation worse, and now created an anxiety dependency where I didn't know how I could sleep naturally. Even when I tried to break the pills as I desperately wanted to, the more that I lied there, hoping, wondering, praying, would I be able to fall asleep, the more that sleep seemed to elude me. This was about 15 years ago, and the internet was just becoming a wave, and I ended up Googling to see what was insomnia. And I remember that showed up in the left bar. Insomnia is a disease that has no cure. And I thought, oh my gosh, as a young man, I've contracted this seemingly incurable disease, and there's absolutely no hope for me. I ended up going to my doctor, who looked me in the eye, and he says, Doron, why don't you just chill out, relax, and fall asleep? I remember having the feeling that I wanted to hit him right in the face, because as well-meaning as he was trying to be, it was a completely insensitive and misinformed comment. As anyone that struggled with insomnia knows, you desperately want to sleep, and sometimes the harder that you try to relax, the more that sleep doesn't seem to come. And clearly this doctor did not know how to help my situation. He had mercy on me and agreed to continue the prescription sleeping pills for a few more weeks, but I knew I eventually had to figure something else out. So I thought I would go to a therapist. I had a lot of stigma in my mind about pursuing a therapist because I had a background in psychobiology. I had never seen a therapist before in my life, and I certainly hoped I wasn't crazy, but I put all of that beside me. I went, made my appointment, and quietly saw a therapist who charged me a lot of money. And lo and behold, after a few sessions with that therapist, and then I got another recommendation and saw another therapist, a few more sessions, my sleep still wasn't any better. At this point, my panic really set in. Doctors can't help me, therapists can't help me. I don't know if there's anybody on the planet that's going to be able to cure my insomnia. I continued through that cycle of fear and dread about sleep, dependency on the sleeping pills, until one day I had just had enough. I remember sitting on my couch thinking, Doron, how did you fall into this mess? There must be a better way than the way that you're going about things right now. I ended up doing a lot of research. The first book that really opened my mind to the world of insomnia was Sasha Stevens' Effortless Sleep Method. And I found that, first of all, it was very helpful for me just to learn that there were other people on the planet that were experiencing exactly what I was going through. And second of all, I found that her advice to be very spot on, and it really helped me in a few weeks shift out of that fear response off the sleeping pills to sleep naturally. It was literally like night and day going through that transformation, going from sleeplessness and insomnia and sleeping pills to be able to fall asleep naturally, and slowly my natural sleep cycle came back. It was amazing and revolutionary. Fast forward a number of years, I ended up sleep coaching some friends and family on the side, and I decided when it was time to open up my own business, I thought sleep coaching would be an exciting way to pursue. I knew I had this skill to help myself and others. I was very passionate, and lo and behold, I got out there with the same skills that I thought was going to help everybody. And lo and behold, it didn't. And this is where things went from bad to worse. Because in my mind, if I was the expert, if I was the person that had done the research, studied the best methodologies, and quote unquote cured myself, and now that wasn't working for other people, not only was that a failure professionally, but that voice in my head said, well, Doron, if it could happen to them, maybe it could happen again to you too. And that sense of panic and fear now reset in. And I went back to all the methodologies that I had tried before to no avail. I, as a sleep coach, was now struggling again with my second wave of insomnia. And this is really where I was faced with two paths in life. I could either fail, both professionally with my own mental health and sleep, or I could say, look, there's time to learn more. We don't fail in life. We either succeed or we learn, and now is a learning moment. I really stood back with a tremendous amount of humility. Could you imagine the situation? And said, look, Doron, maybe you don't know everything. Maybe that which you were taught as a sleep coach and that which you learned in your life experience was not the whole picture. Maybe there is a better way. And so I started doing a lot of research. I did a lot of research on sleep coaching, on hypnotherapy, on functional nutrition, and I ended up learning a whole new school of thought of how not to be locked into one modality, but how to see the body and mind working in totality. And I was able to really master my own anxiety, master my racing thoughts and my sleep, and turn my life around. And not only do I feel that it was helpful for myself, but it really gave me a whole new window into the world of sleep coaching, that sleep coaching is not a monolithic process. It's not a cookie cutter solution that this 6-week program either works for you or doesn't. It's an art, and it's a collaboration, and you need the insight and intuition about how to put all the pieces of the puzzle together to give every person the tools that they need to get to the root of their issue. In fact, I'll create a video about my journey in business becoming a sleep coach, and I'll link that below. I want to share with you 3 take-home lessons from my story that you can apply to yourself, whether it's your own sleep or helping others. Lesson number 1, never give up hope. I know that if you've been struggling with any journey on mental health, physical health, and sleep especially, you're tired, you're frustrated, you're exhausted. Your mind and body seem to be more powerful than you. It doesn't seem like anything's able to come together, but to trust there are options that are able to help you in ways that are tremendously transformative. And to search, never give up hope, recognizing that there's always a path forward. Take home lesson number 2 is to trust your intuition, not their degrees. And I don't mean to badmouth any professional. Everyone in the healthcare field, the mental health, physical health, are trying to help. But just because someone has a lot of letters after the name or years experience doesn't mean that they're the right solution for you. And it could be that all of their education and all their experience has taught them to think in a very myopic, narrow way, but your solution needs a much bigger picture. So if somebody's trying to push something on you that is backed up by their evidence but doesn't fit with your intuition, trust your intuition first. If you've been put on sleeping pills and you know that that's not the root of what your issue is, and you're looking to get off of them, believe in yourself. Believe in your body's ability to sleep naturally without chemical sedation that has all the side effects that come along with it. And take home lesson number 3 is work on getting to the root cause. On my journey of dealing with my own insomnia, it wasn't a linear process. I went through many iterations, books, training programs, gurus, coaches. In terms of hypnotherapy alone, I studied under 8 different experts before I had finalized the approach that I felt worked best for me and my clients. But it's a process. Recognize that you have to find someone who's going to be able to get to the root cause of your issue, not assume you're just like everyone else, and be able to spend time uncovering how can we help your mind and body realign to allow natural sleep to happen every night. What's been your journey with insomnia? Has it finished or is it still beginning? Go ahead and leave your comments below. And if you are interested in reaching out to me, either in terms of setting up a free sleep consultation that I can help give you clarity on what your sleep situation might entail and how you can have a path forward, I'll go ahead and link to my calendar below. And if you're interested in creating a career helping others with sleep, I will put a link to the Sleep Coach Academy that we can be in touch about that too. This has been Doron Lazarus, Integrative Sleep Coach, founder of the Sleep Coach Academy, and I look forward to seeing you on the inside.